5 very interesting speakers on 5 very interesting topics, and we've got 7 minutes each to listen to them. I think most of you will be aware, you've probably seen the invitation. We've got Alan Guy, who's going to talk to us about knowing God's leading, and then Matthew, he's actually stepping in for Zach, so there's been a slight change there, talking about men's ministry. Third is Nigel Kenny, talking about Christianity in secular UK. John Mout being a Christian dad, and 5 is David Kennedy, a Christian man in business. So I'm going to welcome up Alan Guy. We've got 7 minutes starting from now.
7 minutes should start from the first word.
Sorry, my rules.
Well, I was asked to share about knowing God's leading, in relation to leaving my job of 5 years in the police and going to Bible college, and hopefully on to full-time ministry. And I was wondering exactly what I would say, because although I believe God can and does call people to specific situations like Bible college, and we might call that His personal will for our life, I also think it's true to say that there are a whole raft of things that we can do for God without being too specific. And as long as we're seeking to obey Him and love God and neighbour, in all we do, we can legitimately say we are doing His will for our lives. And the longer I'm a Christian, the more I think I understand that when it comes to following God, He often doesn't leave us groping in the darkness. His will for us is to be people who are continually conformed to the image of Christ, and often that means following where He wants us to go, whether it's simple obedience or whether it's something like Bible college, like myself. In fact, I find actually that the problem for me is probably more to do with my hesitation when it comes to following God's will. The problem is more to do with me, not His leading, but whether I'm actually willing to follow. And that was a challenge for me going into Bible college, and it remains a challenge today as Ashley and I seek to make a decision for our future. When God gave me the desire to go to Bible college, which actually came after I left church and then returned with a greater passion for Christ, I had to face a challenge as to whether I was going to be man enough and follow through with it. I was sure it was God's leading. It certainly didn't come from me. It was not something that had entered my mind before Christ came into my life. I might even say it was the furthest thing from my mind before that. And one of the first barriers I think I had to overcome was really to do with inadequacy. I can identify with Moses in Exodus chapter 3:11, who despite experiencing a revelation from God, an affirmation that God is with him, he responds to God's call by saying, "Who am I that I should go to Pharaoh and bring the Israelites out of Egypt?" You see, when I came to Greenview, I was starting from scratch. When I returned after walking away, there were obvious gaps in maturity, wisdom and knowledge. I had no experience of what it was to walk with Christ, and on top of that I was surrounded by a whole load of people who were far more advanced than one might say were prime candidates for Bible college. I felt inadequate because Bible college was for the real theologians. It was not for a guy like me. On top of that, I also had never studied for a degree before. Previously, I left school at 15. I was one of the first in the year to leave, and my exam results were not pretty. And I didn't really know if I was capable of even passing 6 months of Bible college, never mind doing 4 years. So I felt inadequacy. That was the first thing that I had to really overcome as I sought to follow God's leading in my life. The second barrier I had to wrestle with was the fact that my knowledge of God was also severely lacking. Knowledge of His Word was severely lacking. Another thing that Moses himself struggled with. In Exodus 3:13, he responds to God's call by asking God what on earth He will say to the people if they ask him, "Who is this God? What's His name? What's He going to say?" See, he had no idea what he would say. His knowledge of God was lacking. And that was me. You might think that that is the very reason to go to Bible college, but actually I seem to wrestle with the opposite thought. I mean, what sort of phony goes to Bible college pretending he's a theologian or a student of the Word, when actually in reality he's not? You know, I used to hate it in Christian circles when you had a Bible quiz as part of the entertainment. It used to make me fear, wondering what sort of question is going to come up. I hope it's a nice and simple one, like how many books in the Bible? What's the first book in the New Testament? So my Bible knowledge, my knowledge of God was severely lacking. You know, I was certain that God had something in store for me when it came to Bible college, and in the end I had to again be man enough to swallow my pride and to face up to the fact that for a while I would be out my depth. Sometimes I might look a bit daft, or ask daft questions, or say things the wrong way, or fail to mention something that others think is crucial. But I guess in the end, that awkwardness was worth it for the sake of doing what God wanted me to do. The third barrier that I have had to wrestle with in knowing God's leading and responding to His call probably relates a bit more to recent circumstances beyond Bible college, in the sense of what do we do now that Bible college is finished. And the barrier really involves overcoming doubt and fear, and again having a bit of courage. A final reflection on Moses is from Exodus 4:13, when in response to God's call, and after God gives him repeated signs to show that He is with him, to show that He has a plan for him and He will follow it through, he says to God, "O Lord, please send someone else." His bottle crashes, his courage withers, and I've not uttered those words yet, but more and more I need that courage as we look to the future, because there is some doubt when the future is unknown. I need to rest in His promises, and anything that I've done at Greenview has always involved overcoming doubt, from playing the drums, from standing up at communion with a Bible shaking in my hands. There's always been something to overcome, but I find that I trust in the promises of God, there are resources there to overcome these things and follow His will.
Thank you, Alan. Matthew.